What's up, everybody? You're tuning in to BottomLineSports.net, serving up deeper insight on everything sports. A couple days ago, Kobe Bryant came out and said that this year's Olympic basketball team could beat the 1992 Dream Team. Gotta love the competitive Kobe. If anyone knows me, they know I'm a huge supporter of Kobe Bryant, even now at this stage of his career. I think an argument can be made that he's one of the top 5 best players of all time, and I know he's a student of the game and knows a lot about the history of the NBA. But for Kobe to say this year's Olympic team could beat the Dream Team even once is about as ridiculous as his new shaggy goatee. His prediction about beating the Dream Team along with that goatee is making me worry about Kobe. It hasn't been reported yet. I'm not getting this from, sources or anything, but Kobe Bryant might very well be on acid. Call me crazy, but today he defended his comment and started out by saying, quote, "I'm not really tripping." Just saying, man, I don't know. Anyways, I'll give my take on that and why I agree with Scottie Pippen's opinion that the Dream Team was 25 points better. I'll also highlight Jordan's response to Bryant's comment and more. First of all, let's think of the motivational factor. Who do you think would have more motivation to even win that game if it did happen? The Dream Team players were all self-motivated guys. There was 11 Hall of Famers on that team. Every player was an alpha male kind of guy, or at least close to it. Each player was a legend who still played like they had their own personal chip on their shoulder at all times. We're talking about the team that was assembled on purpose with the sole intention of proving the United States' dominance in the sport of basketball as soon as they were even allowed to have those kind of guys on the U.S. roster. In the Olympics before that, 1988 in Seoul, they lost to Russia 82-76, the same country that ended the U.S. reign of dominance with a controversial win in 1972. The perception among other countries at that time was that the U.S. had lost its edge in the sport and that other countries were catching up. But this team was exactly like the A-Team, man. You could almost hear the A-Team theme song playing every time they took the court. Now, I'll give Kobe one thing. If you're basing it off the talent of the top 3 players for both teams, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird at their point in their careers, compared to LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kobe Bryant at their point in their careers, I mean, Bird and Magic definitely weren't in mint condition. Meanwhile, LeBron and Durant are in great form. Kobe really hasn't suffered any major injury in his own right and looks better than he has in a while. But top to bottom, the Dream Team was almost a who's who of the best distributors, scorers, and big men that have ever played the game, period. And I agree with Jordan, who today said there's no comparison at a celebrity golf tournament in Charlotte. I'll get more into his comments in just a bit. To a lot of other teams who, by the way, if you watched that awesome Dream Team documentary recently, to a lot of other teams, they were like the army that God sent to set stuff straight again. And their mission briefing didn't even mention winning. It was already assumed. Their objective was really to layeth the smacketh down on the rest of the world. Other countries looked at us like, hey, come on, seriously, this is how it's going to be? You're going to put Magic, Jordan, and Bird on the same damn team? They had to recruit all 3 of their weapons of mass destruction? All the U.S. needed was half of one. What the fuck? All they probably needed to win it that year was a guy who was exactly half as talented as Jordan. On the back of his jersey, it would just say Dan. Not Jordan, just Dan. And instead of wearing number 23, he'd wear number 11 and a half. 11.5 or something. All they needed was half of one Jordan to win the gold, and they went crazy. Sure, I could see this year's team beating them. Maybe if Bird's injured back finally just broke. Maybe if Michael Jordan was wearing baseball cleats on the hardwood. I mean, there's no way. The Dream Team had enough awesome highlights to maybe force commentator Joe Buck to actually show some emotion. They might have been able to slowly get it out of him. After a while, we wouldn't even be able to recognize Joe Buck's voice. He'd be like, "Pippen with a steal. Feeds it to Magic. He's on the fast break. Around the back past a Bird, who flips a no-look past a Jordan. Jordan finishes with a monster jam." And you're sitting there like, what the fuck? Is that Buck? Since when did he get excited about anything? But no, Kobe mentioned that the Dream Team's size would be a problem for this year's team. Yeah, you think David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone? Not sure if Tyson Chandler, Kevin Love, and Anthony Davis quite stack up. Even if Chris Bosh and Blake Griffin were healthy, the size would still be an issue. It would be an issue even if Dwight Howard was in there. He'd get muscled out of the paint by 4 other freaks of nature. But while he mentioned that, he didn't acknowledge that team's athleticism. This is what Jordan, who laughed when he first heard Kobe's comment, said in response to that. He said, quote, "I heard Kobe say we're not athletic, but we were smart. He said we were too old, but I was 29 in the prime of my career. Pip was 26 or 27, Barkley was 29, Patrick was 29, and Chris Mullin was 29. Almost everybody was still in their 20s, end quote. Bird was dealing with a back issue and Magic wasn't 100% either, but they were great players even then, and more importantly, Jordan had just got done winning his second straight NBA title and had just gotten his grip wrapped securely around the NBA's neck. He was in peak basketball condition, really. A lot of those guys were, just like Jordan said. Now, is this year's team younger? Yeah, its average age is 26 years old. They do have, quote, a bunch of racehorses, like Kobe said, but the Dream Team not only had racehorses, it had horses that didn't need jockeys to crack the whip on them. Like MJ said, the Dream Team wasn't exactly old by any means while also having very high basketball IQ. I like when Jordan added, quote, remember now, they learned from us, we didn't learn from them, end quote. And like I said in the beginning, I don't question the motivation of any member of the Dream Team, but do I question Carmelo Anthony's, Andre Iguodala's? In relation to those legends, you bet I do. Even though I think he's delusional for thinking, it doesn't surprise me that Kobe thinks that, because that's what makes Kobe the Black Mamba. He must be dreaming if he thinks this year's team could beat the Dream Team. I'm talking inception dreaming. He's dreaming inside a dream if he actually believes it, because he could have just said it. Like MJ said, maybe Kobe just said it to legitimize his Dream Team or whatever and take it up another peg, even if it's not on the Dream Team's peg. But that team in 1992, there was a reason it generated all that buzz. There's a reason why the other team posed for pictures with that team before playing against them. The name Dream Team came so easily to them because it echoed the reaction of everyone once it was put together. That name didn't even need to be coined by anybody. That was just a name. Even grandmas out there on their rocking chairs knew who those guys were. The NBA wouldn't be where it is today without that team, and I'm not saying intangible stuff like that to strengthen my argument that the Dream Team would annihilate this year's team. I'm just saying if you look at the attention they got from fans and the way they impacted the sport's future, you're looking at a direct reflection of how good of a team they were. They weren't just the best basketball team ever. They were the best team in sports history. And I really believe everyone who watched them felt that way. Everyone knew that they'd never see something like that ever again. That was truly a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And you know what? They knew it too. The players knew it. That's why all those egos on that team came together so quickly. They had their rough patches at first, yeah, because of their personalities, but that's to be expected because you're not at that echelon of a player if you don't have that kind of attitude in the first place. But I think when Charles Barkley, always a loose cannon, got his head right after he elbowed that player from Angola, the way he turned his behavior around after that was very indicative of the fact that he knew he was part of something special and the fact that he felt accountable. He didn't want to stain the memory, and he knew he was a reflection of all the other players, and he didn't want to blemish their experience either. Kobe saying what he said didn't affect the incredible respect that I have for Kobe, man, but it does make me worry about him, because the bottom line is the Dream Team was assembled with more in mind than just winning one gold medal. It was a team that was constructed to destroy any notion that the U.S. would lose its status as the world's best in basketball. And in the process, the Dream Team amazingly put to rest any doubt that any team could ever be its equal. Thanks for tuning in to BottomLineSports.net with me, Talalo Masri. Listen, I really want to thank BLS Nation for its support. I hit 1,000 views on YouTube in a little less than 2 weeks, and that's awesome. That really inspired me, and I'm just going to keep serving it up for you guys. Please continue to show the support. I need every bit of it. Thanks to KNF Bunny and Saved by Faith Grace for the kind words. By the way, Arizla, I definitely agree with what you said about the Bulls. If they get D Rose back healthy this year from that torn ACL, I think the Bulls can challenge the Heat. I'd still take Miami in a 7-game series at this point, though. I think Rose still needs some help offensively on that team, too. Make sure to visit the new Facebook wall for Bottom Line Sports. You can subscribe to all my podcasts in iTunes. I just added the icon for that on the homepage of BLS. You can also find me on Twitter at TSunSports. Please make sure to make your voice heard and leave a comment. That's it for today. I'm out.